welcome in this, in our province. We are running behind with time. I just want to say, feel at home. We are really going to enjoy the discussion, the debate about matters relating to plants, not only to the plants, and also for collaboration and other important aspects relating to the plants. Without wasting any time, I would like to call upon Prof. Sin to come and give a talk. Prof, just give me a minute to talk about yourself. She's a founder of ULWASA, one of the organizations that represent the females at the institution. She's one of the researchers. She's one of the female management that they are encouraging women in the institution. And Prof. Sin, we're really encouraged with your leadership and the quality of the leadership that you are also transferring to young researchers just like me and other female academics. Prof. Sin, you may address the delegates. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Prof. Glynis Goodman-Cron, the President of South African Association of Botanists, the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Science and Agriculture, Prof. Siweya, he's going to join us a bit later. Prof. L. Mampuru, Director, School of Molecular and Life Sciences, the Head of the Department of Biodiversity, Dr. Millicent Kekana, SAAB Council members, Professor Salome Matlo, Chair of the Local Organizing Committee, as well as all local organizing committee members, our sponsors who are here with us today, the University of Limpopo management team, keynote speakers, presenters and delegates, all guests and organizers, Dumelang. I'm expecting responses here. Ndimachironi, Oksheni, Kweyamora, good morning to you all. Now, if you have responded to me, you are now conversant in the 5 local languages of this province. My name is Jessica Singh, as you've heard, and I'm the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research, Innovation and Partnerships at the University of Limpopo. On behalf of our Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Machalong, it is my pleasure to welcome you to South Africa, to the province of Limpopo, to the University of Limpopo, and to the 48th annual edition of the South African Association of Botanists Conference, hosted by the Department of Biodiversity at the University of Limpopo. Our Vice Chancellor, who was supposed to do the opening, has sent his apology, and he's also indicated his best wishes and his warm wishes to the entire delegation for the duration of the conference. As a university, we are extremely privileged to host this conference. My apology. We are extremely privileged to host this year's a conference for SAAB, and it is such a privilege for us to welcome you all to this province and also to the university, and we are extremely excited that you've chosen to attend this year's edition of the conference. We also would like to say thank you to SAAB, and I see you have, your acronym is SAAB, and we don't want to mix it with SARB, right? So, so thank you to the SAAB Council, together with the President, for awarding us this opportunity to host your prestigious annual conference. And I think you're all thrilled to see each other as a community, because for the last 2 to 3 years, we've been under COVID restrictions and have had to either cancel or have virtual conferences, but it's good as a community to meet once again. And I think you're all excited as you commence this 48th edition of the conference. We would also like to thank you to our international speakers, who have joined us here today, in particular, Prof. Fatma Moharam from Helwan University in Egypt, Prof. Elaine Koorsens from Kent University in Belgium. By the way, our two professors, the University of Limpopo has a partnership with these two universities, Helwan and Kent, and we're so privileged that you are also joining us from those two universities. Allow me to also recognize and thank the local organizing committee who have worked well together and extremely hard in putting together this event. Prof. Salome Matlo, who is chairing the session. She's also the chair of the LOC, together with Prof. Winston Ngumalo, Mrs. Mojaji Lebepe, Mr. Peter Makumo, and Dr. Ashwell Ndladla. They have also been closely assisted by our marketing and communication team and also other support divisions, and we are grateful to these divisions. As you're all aware, this year's theme is plants, health, and prosperity, and I think you have chosen well. By glancing at the topics as I did in the program and the abstract book, you know, the topics that are going to be presented are extremely current and relevant to our country and to your profession as well. And I'm sure that you're going to be spoiled for choice as you engage further during the conference. As you're all aware that South Africa is among the most biodiverse countries on the planet. And we are proud as a university that we have contributed immensely in our 63 years of existence towards researching, conserving, and making known the various species of plants in our region. Botany lends itself wonderfully to multidisciplinary research, and as a university we've embraced this multidisciplinarity across our departments, schools, and faculties, in the health sciences through medicinal plants, in pharmacy, in chemistry, in law, in plant production, plant protection, and also through our research niche areas of the university. We have complementary and alternative medicines, and we've also been hosting a international conference in this regard. We also have a research niche area on indigenous knowledge systems, and a lot of the research in this area is on plants. And also we have a research niche area on climate change and sustainability, very, very closely and intricately linked to plants. And as botanists, I'm sure that the passion you have for your discipline makes you want to preserve and protect and document all plant species so that we can enjoy the benefits of a symbiotic relationship with them for posterity. It is also very encouraging for us to be able to see so many postgrad students who are presenting at this conference. Actually, there are 148 postgrad students presenting. So I want to wish you all, especially the postgrad students, best wishes in your presentations. We would also like to say thank you to all the supervisors who've made this possible by bringing your students to the conference. And I also want to encourage all the postgrad students to join the academic community as you contemplate future careers. So I wish you all a lovely time together as this academic community, and it is now my pleasure to declare the 48th Annual Conference of the South African Association of Botanists officially open. I thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Sin, for the welcome message. You had, when Prof talked about the theme, Prof. Klenis, the sub-president, and also we have the editor of South African Journal of Botany. As you see here, Prof. Calvin Barkwill. And amongst ourselves, we also have the SAAB at the back there. If you also need any information about the membership, please delegates go at the back and check Elizabeth. She will be able to assist. Yes, indeed, in the Faculty of Science and Agriculture, we are doing well with research related to plant biochemistry, plant physiology, medicinal plants, and other sub-themes that you are going to share with us during the presentation. I also want to acknowledge the school director from our other schools, and I've seen Prof. Chauke is amongst ourselves. I'm not sure if I missed some of the HODs and school directors. Please feel free. You are welcome to the 48th annual SAAB conference. I know we are left behind. I need assistance with also making sure that the program is reflecting on the screen. Prof. Dennis, you may please get ready. And also, I'm not sure whether it's Prof. Calvin who will start and come and welcome us and tell us about the SAAB. You are the SAAB president. You are holding a big position, and we are looking forward to hear your presentation. And also the SAJB, I think the number of publications during this conference will be increased.
Thank you, Professor Martle, and I'm not going to be very long. I just really wanted to welcome everyone here today. As has been said, we have not been able to get together for at least 3 years. Thank you to the University of Northwest for hosting us virtually last year, and that was a great success. But it's not quite the same as being together and being able to chat and exchange ideas and just see one another and catch up. So we are really grateful. So I wish to thank the University of Limpopo and especially the Department of Biodiversity, and we really are pleased to be here. So thank you to Professor Salome Martlo and your team. A lot of work goes into preparing this conference, and we are very grateful. We're also excited to hear about the research that has been happening over the past few years. And I thank you for making the effort to come to Polokwane. It's a beautiful area, beautiful surroundings, and I hope you will enjoy it. So I'm actually now going to hand over to Professor Kevin Balkwell, who is going to give a tribute to Professor Olive Hilliard, who passed away very recently. And it's a great loss to us, and she was a tremendous botanist, but I will hand over to Kevin to give that tribute. So thank you once again, and welcome.
I just want to find my presentation. It was here. Folder. Okay, yeah, that one. Thank you very much. So I was asked, perhaps it's a little bit unusual to pay a tribute to one of our previous members who died recently, and I thought I would also look at two other members who we also sadly lost over the last 2 years. And this will, I think, give you students something to really aspire to when you see these three people. So the first person is Elizabeth Retief, and she was born in October 1947 in Bloemfontein. Her family moved to Pretoria, and she then did her BSc and her honors at the University of Pretoria and graduated with those in 1969. She joined the BRI, it was then the Botanical Research Institute's National Herbarium in Pretoria in 1970. Her first paper was published in 1973. It was on Strophanthus petersianus and published in Flowering Plants of Africa. And it took 6 years until her second paper was published in 1979, and after that there was a steady stream of papers for the rest of her time of employment, and she was apparently still working on papers when she died. She received her MSc cum laude in 1977 from the University of Pretoria, and she did a PhD on boraginaceae in 2004 and graduated also from the University of Pretoria. She retired in 2010, and after that, not immediately moved to George, and then sadly died in June 2021. One of her major contributions was the book Plants of the Northern Provinces of South Africa, which she authored with Paul Herman, and certainly for the Mpumalanga Plant Specialist Group, their copies are falling apart. They have just been so readily and often used. Now, this is a work of 681 pages and covers 204 families and 5,768 taxa. So it is a huge contribution that was made and something that is used very often. Then we had a landmark publication in South Africa which was updating Dyer's plants or genera of Southern Africa, which was published, I think, in 1975, the year I matriculated. And this was replaced by seed plants, which is Strelitzia 10. This is what we still use today, and Elizabeth contributed the accounts for a number of families, more than just the two that I've shown there as examples. And then South Africa also paved the way as being one of the first mega diverse countries that produced full checklists of all the species of plants that occurred. This was first masterminded by Beth Gibbs Russell long ago, and we now have moved to where this is something that's done online. But Elizabeth was a major contributor of a number of families to all the different generations of this landmark and, again, an extremely useful publication that we had. So in summary, she collected over 2,000 herbarium specimens by 2010, and they are mainly deposited in the Pretoria National Herbarium. She described 20 new species and 4 subspecies. She made 7 new combinations. She published 1 major work, and she published 56 papers, of which 27 are in Bethalia and 17 in the Flowering Plants of Africa. And she also published 2 conference proceedings. And it's very significant the number of collaborators that she had. She was obviously very good at working with other people and pulling things together out of their collaborative work. She contributed substantially then to 13 major works as well, and she's commemorated in 2 species, being Polygala retifiana and Callilepis retifii, that have been named after her. The second person we're remembering is Mariana van Wyk. She was born Christina Maria Schonken in the Cape, and she studied at Stellenbosch University, graduating with a master's in 1980. She joined the Botanical Research Unit in Stellenbosch and worked in their herbarium. She married Ben Erik van Wyk, and they moved to Gauteng, and she then joined the National Herbarium at the Botanical Research Institute. And unfortunately, I didn't have copies of the older composite works, but I'm sure that she contributed some of the families in those species lists for the country. She collected 1,000 herbarium specimens in the Southwest Cape and Namaqualand, and then with Ben Erik van Wyk, she collected in Zeeburg, and the Zeeburg specimens certainly are in the herbarium of the University of Johannesburg. And she sadly died on the 14th of April 2022. And thank you to Glynis, who sent out on behalf of SAAB something in memory of Mariana, and many of you will have met her at conferences. She spent a lot of time supporting her family and supporting Ben in the incredible work that Ben does. So a big thank you, and just remembering Mariana van Wyk. The third person I was asked to pay tribute to is Olive Hilliard, who was a SAAB gold medalist in 1984. And I think there's some important points here for the whole issue that was mentioned earlier about women in academia. So she was born Olive Mary Hillary on the 4th of July 1925, and she was born on a farm near Durban. They had to sell the farm, and her father went to work in the sugar industry. And when she finished school, he said that girls shouldn't go to university, which of course meant that he wouldn't pay university fees. So she won a scholarship, and she went to the University of KwaZulu-Natal. She wanted to study geology. The head of the geology department said, geology is not a subject for girls. And so, to our luck, she then decided to study botany. She completed her MSc by the age of 22, and she then went to work at the National Herbarium, once again BRI, in Pretoria. When she was married, in those days, married women, your contract was then cancelled. So she lost her job because she chose to get married, and she and her husband then moved down to Durban, they moved down to KwaZulu-Natal and lived near Hillary. And she then became a lecturer in Durban and a demonstrator in 1954. And in 1963, she was appointed to a new post, which was the curator of the Buse Herbarium at Pietermaritzburg at what's now the University of KwaZulu-Natal. And she was appointed initially as a technician and then had various promotions so that she was finally an associate professor at that university. She retired from there in 1985 and moved to Edinburgh and carried on working until the age of until 2005, and then she died on the 30th of November 2022. Now, while she was living at Hillary and working in Durban, she used to go into the Kloof Gorge, which was close to her home, and was fascinated by Streptocarpus, and there are the 3 species that are likely to have occurred in that area. And so when she then became the curator at the Buse Herbarium, she started to study this group for a PhD. When she got to a certain stage, she and her husband went and traveled Europe so that she could see types of the species, she could obtain literature, and she could speak to the experts of that family internationally. And so in Edinburgh, they met the world expert on Gesneriaceae, who was Brian Lawrence Burt, fondly known as Bill Burt. And he was so interested in what she presented about the Southern African Streptocarpus that he then came to South Africa to go and explore in the field, and he kept doing so annually from then on for many years. This picture is a picture of Bill Burt at Nganshla Forest, looking very pleased with himself with that huge plant of Streptocarpus grandis that he had collected. So one of the first publications was Streptocarpus, an African plant study, which was obviously based on Olive's PhD thesis. It was a joint publication in 1971. 410 pages, covering 132 species, and it's a mark of almost everything that she worked on, that they are recognized as being difficult groups. And she was very confident about working on difficult groups, making decisions, and sorting them out. Hilliard and Burt then continued with various individual projects on their own, but they also collaborated on many other projects following on Streptocarpus. In 1977, she published Compositae in Natal, 659 pages, dealing with 113 genera and 600 species. And that book is still the authority for many groups in the summer rainfall area of South Africa. Through doing the field work for that book, Hilliard and Burt then became interested in the southern KwaZulu-Natal Drakensberg. They recognized that much work had been done on the northern KwaZulu-Natal Drakensberg and very little in the south. So that led to many papers being published in notes from the Royal Botanic Garden of Edinburgh, and it would have been nomenclatural clarifications, descriptions of new species, regional revisions of genera, and in doing that work, it meant that they also went into various other summer rainfall areas, and especially mountainous areas that helped them then to solve the taxonomic questions that they came across in the KwaZulu-Natal Drakensberg. So I had the privilege of meeting them in 1982 when I went to Maritzburg to do my master's and then PhD. And at that stage, they were mainly doing field work for the botany of the southern Natal Drakensberg. By 1984, and possibly even before, she was already showing me where she was doing proofreading for the book that was to be published in 1987. She knew that was 1987 was the planned publishing date, but already in 1984, she was doing proofreading for it. And for that book, the way that Hilliard and Burt worked was for 3 months, they would do summer field work in the Drakensberg. 3 months, they'd work separately, she in Pietermaritzburg and he in Edinburgh. Then for 3 months, she would go to Edinburgh and they would work there. And then for 3 months, they'd then work separately and prepare for the next field season. During the field work months, almost as soon as Mr. Burt, as we called him, arrived in Pietermaritzburg, they would be packing into the Fiat station wagon. They'd go off to a forestry station in the foothills of the Drakensberg. Supplies and plant presses would be sent on horses and mules up into the mountains, and they would go and stay in a cave shelter for 4 to 5 nights, and they would work on one valley for those 4 to 5 nights. They lived a very simple life usually, and so it didn't bother them to have black tea when they were staying in the mountain. They didn't have to worry about looking after milk and so on. Olive, for the months prior to the field time, every night she would cook 3 meals or 3 portions of a meal, and 2 would be frozen in a particular box so that they would fit into small polystyrene cool boxes. And before they went, those frozen meals were packed into the boxes and they were taped closed. Those boxes were opened only to take the meal out and closed again, and that's how they kept food for the 4 to 5 to 6 days that they were in the mountains. I never saw them in the field, but John Manning gives an account of seeing this petite little woman come striding through the grassland wearing huge big SADF army boots. And I can just imagine what that vision would be. And then knowing the Drakensberg and the dangers in the Drakensberg, if there was the slightest little wisp of cloud in the morning, it would be back to the cave straight away so that one didn't get caught in a thunderstorm with all the difficulties that might go with it. Then they would come back to Pietermaritzburg for 4 or 5 days. They'd work through the presses, change the paper, identify specimens, note down what to look for on the next trip, write up the labels for the plants they'd collected. They'd send live plants and seeds to Edinburgh, and they would pack for the next trip, and then it would be back into the mountain for another 4 or 5 nights, and so they keep going for 3 months. Then when they were in Edinburgh, it would be following up on types, consulting literature, writing papers, and working on the various long-term projects that they were working on. 1983 saw the publication of volume 33 of the Flora of Southern Africa, and that included the large group Helichrysum, but it was 325 pages and covered 293 species. 1987 saw publication of the Botany of the Southern Natal Drakensberg, 253 pages covering 1,400 taxa. 1991, another difficult group, but beautiful, diorama, the harebells of Africa, 152 pages and 44 species. 1994, the Minuli, a tribe of the Scrophulariaceae, 579 pages, 17 genera and 350 species. 1996 saw publication of 3 popular books, one on trees and shrubs, one on the grasses and sedges, and one on the petaloid monocots of the Drakensberg. 1999, the tribe Solagani, and unfortunately I couldn't find the information on that book, but another large authoritative work published by Olive. And then the last joint publication was in 2002 on the genus Agelmila from the Gesneriaceae, and that was 210 pages, 97 species, of which 62 were new species to science that she described in that paper. So in summary, she collected 18,000 herbarium specimens, which are mainly at the University of KwaZulu-Natal in Pietermaritzburg and in the Edinburgh Herbarium, but also many other duplicates elsewhere. She described 372 species. She is an author and sometimes the sole author of 8 major works. She had a number of accolades from the Linnean Society of London, from Kirstenbosch, SAAB, the gold medal. The University of Natal recognized her with an honorary doctorate, and the Royal Horticultural Society recognized her with a medal because of the number of plants from the Drakensberg that she and Bill Burt had introduced to horticulture in Europe. She's commemorated in 2 genera, being Hilliardia and Hilliardiella, and 6 species have been named after her and commemorated her. So for someone whose father didn't believe should go to university, and someone who was told she was not suitable for a particular career, you can see someone who made a phenomenal contribution. And that should, I think, be a challenge for all of us, as to we shouldn't let what people say get in the way, and that was something she did say to me from time to time. So can we please then have a moment of silence for these 3 people who sadly we have lost over the last 2 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kevin. What a tribute. May their soul rest in peace. They've made a mark in the SAAB community, and also through the publications that we still read about it, refer it, or cite about it. So indeed, their soul rest in peace. When we talk about the legend, I thought it's only about soccer. I thought it's only about athletics. But in the botany, we also have our legend. And we also have Prof. Ilof, is one of the legend when you talk about a botanist. So, and then we also have the other one that maybe I don't see them, but we really appreciate the contribution that they are doing in the SAAB community. Prof. Sin, plants is life. Any diseases can come, but when you do our research, we can find solution in plants. That's why our department is biodiversity. It's a diversified department. And Lennis, we'd like to thank SAAB for trusting in us, the Department of Biodiversity at the university. And indeed, it was quite challenging. And then through the LOC and the faculty management, and the conference is so successful. It was challenging to host this prestigious event, and we're so grateful with the support from SAAB and also our management. And we also recognize our keynote speakers. We have the national and international keynote speakers. We are going to share they are going to share with us their presentations, and we are looking forward for the debate and collaboration, especially in the research area that will generate or will generate through publications or exchange program for our postgraduate students. Thank you so much, Calvin. We will always remember them. I know their memories that will be in our heart. They contributed to the SAAB community, and we were so grateful for the work that they've done, and also the mark that they left in terms of plant science research. I'm going to introduce our international speaker. Let me open her profile. Where is it? Can I help? Where is it?
What are we looking for?
The program. They didn't show me where did you put it. Oh, damn it. I sent you the note this time. There's now I'm looking for the message. I'm going to introduce our plenary speaker, Prof. Fatima Maharam. She's from Egypt, Cairo. She's currently working at the Harmer University. Prof. Fatima Maharam graduated a BSc from the Faculty of Pharmacy, Cairo University, and also the master's and the PhD in the research of phytochemical, and also she checked on biological activity of various plants that are growing in Egypt. She has teaching experience in the area of pharmacognosy, phytochemistry, herbal medicine. She also isolates compounds where they use the NMR and other spectroscopic for the identifications of the plants. Prof. Fatima, she has published over 60 papers, Kelvin, in the international journals. I'm not sure in SAAB, but she did publish her work in one of the best journals. And also she did work on other different aspects. Like I said, she mentioned the issue of plants isolation and also the issue of focusing on the natural plant product from plants, or also entophytic fungi, where she evaluated different biological activity. Currently, she's a reviewer, editor for the Frontier in Chemistry, and association editor in Journal of Advanced Pharmacy Research, as well as reviewer for about 28 international journals. Prof. Fatima has supervised several master's and PhD students. She presented her work at various international conferences, such as ALPEC and other conferences. In addition to the conference attended, she's a chairman for the International Conference of Harmer University in Egypt. She has participated in and also in several workshops on different aspects of research and quality control. Prof. Fatima, welcome to South Africa, Limpopo Province, University of Limpopo, the range. We are looking forward for your presentation.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, my colleague, my professor. Thank you, Dr. Salumi, for kindly introducing me, and thank you for inviting me to attend the conference and introduce my work. I would talk today about the biological activity of certain traditional used plant growing widely in Egypt. Firstly, I wanted to talk about the story of using medicinal plant in the Egypt by the ancient Egypt. Egypt, as we see from the map, it is characterized by its unique position between Africa and between Asia, and it has a long coast of water from Mediterranean Sea in the north and Red Sea in the east. This situation allows Egypt to possess dry and semi-dry soil, which very suitable for growing of the wide variety of the medicinal plant. Also, this situation allows Egypt to attract the attentions of many explorers and many botanists to study their flora. The flora of Egypt are represented in different regions from like each regions are characterized by wide variety of the medicinal plant. Among these regions is the Mediterranean regions, which characterized by many plants, as example of Euphorbia paralysis. Nile region as Emigus plant, Western desert as Pseudia aegyptiaca. Also, Eastern desert as Parenchyma capitata, Artemisia judaica, and other Artemisia species are widely distributed in Sinai. Also, Zygophyllum nudisium albium is characteristic in the Red Sea region. Also, Egypt are characterized by the presence of many protected areas, in which many wild plants are represented for its medicinal uses. Among the protected areas present in Egypt is the most famous Saint Catherine region, which comprises a wide variety of the medicinal wild plant, among which is the Phlomis Maria and Nipta Septa Micrinata. Also, Wadi al-Asyuti protected area is a very famous protected area present in Egypt. Also, Wadi Digla protected area characterized by a wide variety of the wild plant as Varassia aegyptica and Echinopsis spinosa plant. Also, I want to talk about the herbal medicine. The term of the herbal medicine was start from the ancient Egyptian physician, which uses a plant growing in nature for many purposes, for treatment of the diseases or for preparation of the perfume or cosmetic or household items, also used as ingredient of food, also used as even as ornamental plant. This is the very famous Ebras Papyrus. Ebras Papyrus was written in 1550, and it comprises moreover 800 prescriptions. The prescription mainly depend on the using of the medicinal plant growing in nature for treatment of the disease. Among the plants present in the Ebras Papyrus is Thymus vulgara. Thymus vulgara is a widely used aromatic plant in Egypt and in all Arabic countries. It is characterized by its large amount of essential oil and used for aromatic uses, and also used as additive of food and used in many preparation for treatment of cough due to its expectorant effect. Also, cannabis sativa is among of the plant present in the Apis papyrus. Cannabis sativa commonly known by the population for its narcotic effect. But recently, the tetrahydrocannabinol is a narcotic ingredient present in the cannabis sativa attract many researchers to study the medicinal value of this tetrahydrocannabinol, especially in the treatment of cancer. Also, recently there is an international journal known as Cannabinoid focus or its aim depend on the medicinal value of cannabis. Also aloe vera. Aloe vera is a special plant, wide variety in Egypt are presented from it. It is characterized by its gel obtained from the aloe vera used in many cosmetic preparations, and also it is used in treatment of constipation or used as laxative due to its anthraquinone compound. My lecture focused mainly today about the essential oil and the plant rich by essential oil or volatile oil. The essential oil also used by the ancient Egypt for many purposes, especially for embalming death and preservation of the Egyptian mummies. Among the plants used by the ancient Egypt is the myrrh, cedar wood, and cinnamon and juniper, which are characterized by their essential oil. Essential oil is a very interesting complex organic mixture. It is not dependent on one compound, but it is a complex mixture of organic compound. The organic compound present in the essential oil based mainly about the monoterpene and sesquiterpene compound. This monoterpene and sesquiterpene including all classes of organic compound, either hydrocarbon, either oxygenated compound as aldehyde, ketone, phenol, and alcohol, and so on. Also it contains phenylpropionate. The presence of all organic compound in the same mixture allows a synergistic effect which increase the effect of medicinal value or pharmaceutical use of this essential oil. Also, the presence of this compound with each other allows the esterification of the compound and intensifies the odor since it is used mainly as perfume. The preparation of the essential oil from the plant or extraction of the medicinal oil from the plant. There are several methods used for extraction, from the very simple method which used in the lab scale or used in the field for the preparation of large amount of oil. But these methods depend on heating of the plant with the water. This contact between water and the plant may allow decomposition of the constituent of the essential oil. So it is used only for preparation of the very cheap essential oil, which used in household preparation and so on, not used for preparation of the expensive perfume. Also, we can use instead of water, we can use the steam for extraction of oil or mixture of water and steam. In order to decrease or minimize the effect of heat on the oil, we recently used the green technology or what you know as environmental friendly method, which is a microwave assistant extraction method and supercritical gas extraction. In supercritical gas extraction, we used carbon dioxide as the extraction of the essential oil. The supercritical gas or supercritical carbon dioxide takes the properties of both gas and liquid, so it allows the extraction of the essential oil and minimize the decomposition of its constituent and take a very short time for preparation of the oil. This method, or what known as inflorescence method or extraction using fats, this method used especially for the very expensive flower or preparation of very expensive perfume, used for delicate flower which contain least amount of essential oil, as well as it is a sensitive component. So we extract in cold using fat. This method used a long time for the preparation of oil, but the result oil is very fine and very expensive. The result essential oil, in order to identify its component of the complex of the essential oil, as well as the amount of each component present in the mixture, it was subjected to what known GCMS analysis. GCMS analysis allows the separation of the constituent between the mixture, then allows the fragmentation pattern of the component present in. Also, we can determine the amount by determination the peak of the area under the area to determine the concentration of each component. After that, we compare the fragmentation pattern with the previously reported library for essential oil, commonly known as NIST library and Wiley library. The essential oil or volatile oil have many uses, and especially for economical uses in many industries. The most famous industry is the industry of perfumes. Also in preparation of additive for using of food. Also it is used for preparation of green pesticide. Also it is used in many pharmaceutical preparation to mask the bitter odor of the drug. Also, it is used for alternative medicine by the knowing of the aromatherapy. Aromatherapy was applied by either inhalation of the essential oil or massage, or using for treatment of relaxation or treatment of certain type of migraine. The application of the essential oil in medicine based on the research by, reported research by many scientists in the field of essential oil. It can be used as antiviral, antifungal, treatment of hemorrhoid, wound healing, and anti-cancer, antiseptic, anti-inflammatory. Also, essential oil mainly used as an external application. So it is used usually for treatment and microbial and wound healing. And if I want to use essential oil internally, you should use it in very dilute concentration to avoid the irritation of the intestine and stomach. Now I wanted to share my research about the essential oil, starting with the evaluation of the wounding healing activity of certain plant growing widely in Egypt after encapsulation in nanoemulsion. The two species, which is known as Divera tertosa and Divera triradiata, they are belonging to the family Apiaceae, or known previously known as family Umbelliferae. Divera species are two plants growing widely in Egypt, many protected area in Egypt, especially in Sina or in Wadi Digla protected area. It is used in Egypt as a carminative drink for GIT disorder and also for as anti-asthma by inhalation. Also, it is used as food, for food additive for its aromatic and medicinal value. Also, these plants are characterized by many flavonoid and coumarin compound. The objective of my work was to start preparation of the essential oil from the two Divera species using different methods to establish the most method giving high yield of essential oil, followed by encapsulation of this oil in the form of nanoemulsion, and finally evaluate their application in treatment of wounding healing. We prepare oil using the three methods: the normal conventional method, the hydrodistillation method, and the environmental friendly method, micro assistant hydrodistillation and supercritical fluid extraction. As you see from the physical properties, the method of preparation affect the color and also affect the yield of the oil. We find that the superfluid extraction represents the highest yield for essential oil. Here we identify the essential oil by the component of essential oil and the percentage of each component in it using GCMS. In case of Divera tertosa, we identified more than 90% in the three methods, either hydrodistillation method, microwave method, and supercritical extraction method. By analysis, the result of the essential oil, we find that the Divera tertosa are characterized by the presence of large percent of non-oxygenated compound, which are represented in the form of monoterpene hydrocarbon, while the oxygenated compound mainly as monoterpene, oxygenated monoterpene, while the phenylpropionide will appear in high percent in case of cerebral fluid. In case of Divera triradiata, we also identify more than 90% in the three methods, but here in the Divera triradiata, we find that the major component are oxygenated compound, not like Divera tertosa as hydrocarbon. The non-oxygenated compound also are ciscoterpene or hydrocarbon, not monoterpene hydrocarbon. And the oxygenated compound are mainly phenylpropionide. By looking about the difference between the two oils, as we see now, the Divera tertosa are rich by monoterpene hydrocarbon, and the Divera triradiata are rich by phenylpropionide, which is an oxygenated compound. So we find that the odor of the Divera triradiata is intensified and more favorite than Divera tertosa, since the presence of oxygenated compound intensifies the odor than the presence of hydrocarbon. The major compound present in Divera tertosa and Divera triradiata, as we've seen, the saponin is the major monoterpene hydrocarbon present in Divera tertosa, while terpineol for all and limicine represented the monoterpene alcohol and phenylpropionide, while in Divera triradiata, the oxygenated compound limicine or phenylpropionide is the major compound, while the germricin D is the major ciscoterpene hydrocarbon. After that, we start to prepare the nano-emulsion for oil to start a topical application to treatment the wound. Firstly, we prepare the plain nano-emulsion without any oils or any medication. We used oleic and jojoba oil as oil phase using twin and propyl alcohol as surfactant and co-surfactant. Also used aqueous or double distilled water as the aqueous phase. We firstly mix the oily phase and surfactant and co-surfactant with each other and titrate with the aqueous phase till turbidity of the mixture. We repeat this method several times with different concentration of all the components to construct what we know as a double phase, triple phase diagram. In this diagram, we find that the pink region, or what known as one phase diagram, any point in this region produce a homogeneous nano-emulsion and got used, and in the black region excluded for our experiment. Then we start to introduce the essential oil prepared from Divera tertosa and Divera triradiata in the nano-emulsion. We added it with the oily phase by 2% and 1% for each oil, then mix to each other and added the aqueous phase and stirring for 1 night. The result nano-emulsion after that was subjected to certain physical properties to establish its composition. Firstly, we determine pH, which range from the 4.5 is the pH of the skin to overcome the irritation when we applied the nano-emulsion on the skin. Then determine the particle size in order to confirm its nanoparticle and determine its homogeneity and stability for a long time. Then we start to final step with the application, topical application for this nano-emulsion containing the oil for treatment of wounding healing. We start to use rats. Rats are anesthetic by using ketamine. Then we shave the back hair of the rat and make incision in the dimension of 225 millimeter. This wound remaining undressed all over the experiment. In order to minimize the effect of pain on the rat, we give the rat subcutaneously injection of lidocaine and epinephrine as analgesic. During the experiment, all tools used should be remain in aseptic condition by using 70% ethanol and washing usually with saline water. After that, we begin to classify the animals into different groups, each group containing 6 animals. Also, each animal represents in a single cage to overcome the contact between animals and the effect of the wound. The first group we received the plant-based nano-emulsion without any medication. Then the other groups containing 1% and 2% topical application of the nano-emulsion containing 1%, 2% of the oil. The last group received the standard control group, which is the MIBO. MIBO is ointment used for treatment of wound and present in local Egypt pharmacy in Egypt. The first step for evaluation the wounding healing or treatment of wounds using this oil is the determination of surface area of the wound during the experiment. We measure the surface area of the wound at the after 4 days, 18, 12, and 16 days. Then after 16 days, in the day 17, we take the granulation tissue at the wound position of the rats to determine certain characters or certain parameters as antioxidant activity for also measure inflammatory marker, also measure the growth factor marker, also estimation of the hydroxyproline, which is a major component of the collagen, a main component of the skin. All after that, we establish our result by using histopathological examination. As you see from this picture, we find this one group which received only the plant nano-emulsion, and the other group received the medication of oil, and the last group which received the standard. We received the decrease in the size of the wound during the experiment till day 16. We find that the Vera-tortosa produce complete healing of the wound. Also, the Vera-triiridiata present about 95% of healing, and the standard group, we find that the Vera-tortosa is more than the standard MIMO drug. We find that any wound result in the inflammation, and also the antioxidant compound should be used in treatment of wound. For determination or evaluation the antioxidant power for the nanoemulsion, we measure either malonaldehyde as a marker of lipid peroxidation, and measure the level of glutathione and catalase as a marker of antioxidant. As we see from the figure, in presence of a wound, the level of malonaldehyde is increased while glutathione and catalase decreased. They are reverse the level, which decrease the lipid peroxidation, and increasing of the level of glutathione and catalase in case of the group's treatment with Divera nanoemulsion from 2 Divera species. Usually, Divera tortuosa produce high significant effect than the Divera triradiata. Also, we evaluate the growth factor, anti-inflammatory factor, which is represented by determination of tumor necrosis factor, and interleukin, which are pro-inflammatory marker. We find also in case of wound, they are significantly increased, and they are decreased in presence of nanoemulsion application of the oil. Also, we determine the effect of the nanoemulsion on the transforming growth factor beta and vascular endothelial growth factor. Also, the percent of hydroxyproline, the main component of collagen. We find that the extract or nanoemulsion for the essential oil enhances the activity of wounding healing or treatment wounding healing. This result as anti-inflammatory or antioxidant was established by measuring or showing the histopathological examination. The first 2 groups represent the normal rats without any treatment. The other 2 groups represent the wound, as we find that the 2 groups received nanoemulsion of Divera tortuosa reproduce contact skin without any infiltration, without any damage. Also, if we show the effect of the nanoemulsion also in the collagen fiber, we find that the Divera tortuosa extract enhance the collagen fiber, which is the main fiber of the skin. Finally, we expect that the effect of the Divera tortuosa and the Divera triradiata oil, due to their main constituents, which are saponin and terpineol for all, and ilimicine and germicine, the previous reported in the literature revealed that this component exhibit significant anti-inflammatory and antioxidant activity. But again, maybe the effect due to small concentration of the other constituent, not major constituent, but the synergistic effect between the different components of essential oil enhance its activity. We started to do future work in this plant, on this essential oil. We started to prepare a nanoemulsion or special formula as ointment from this plant, and we started to do preclinical treatment for this ointment in order to supply it in the marker. Also, we find that by HPLC-MS that the 80% aqueous methanol extract of these 2 plants are reached by coumarin, especially imperatorine. Imperatorine compound represent many treatments in the skin diseases, so we start to prepare the nanofilm from this extract, and we start to study their effect as anti-psoriasis drug. Another plant growing widely in Egypt is the Achillea fragrantissima, related to family Asteraceae. It is widely in many protected areas in Egypt. Also, we prepare the oil of this plant by 3 methods, but we use the heat space method here. the headspace method produces the oil, but just only for the identification, not use the real oil to apply in biological activity. Also, we identify its component using GCMS, and we evaluate its antibacterial and antibiofilm activity. The main component of the essential oil is oxygenated compound, not hydrocarbon, so it has a very, very intensive odor. The major component present in it as oxygenated compound, mainly as acetone, which is ketone, and the pipritone and septilol, which is also ketone and alcohol. These compounds have antimicrobial activity, so we start to prepare to evaluate the antibacterial activity and antibiofilm activity. We determine the activity, or evaluate the antibacterial activity using agar dilution method, using determine MIC using Bros dilution method, and finally we determine the antibiofilm activity. In case of zone of inhibition determined by using agar dilution method, as we know, agar dilution method is just screening, not confirm or not give any idea about the biological activity. Since we compare the zone of inhibition with some antibiotic, we find the zone of inhibition is very small due to the low diffusion of the essential oil in the agar in general. Here we determine the MIC or minimum inhibitory concentration for the essential oil using microdilution assay. We find that the MIC is very low in case of oil prepared by microwave assisted hydrodistillation. We assess the antibiofilm for the bacteria using crystal violet for intensify the color, and which is measured as by spectrophotometry. The crystal violet just present in 96 well. If the color is intensified, meaning the strong inhibition of the biofilm, and the faint of the color represents the very weak effect of the biofilm. Here, the oil prepared by hydrodistillation will find only at the concentration of 185 has inhibitory effect on the biofilm formed by Physiology aeruginosa microorganism. While in case of hydrodistillation, we'll find it is have inhibition activity in biofilm prepared formed by Physiology aeruginosa and also by Staphylococcus pyogenes. We find that inhibitory effect due to the microwave assistant containing high percent of septinolol, which is alcohol, and generally alcohol as ethanol have antimicrobial or antibacterial activity. Finally, this plant is Basidium cantilenium. This plant known as strawberry guava. This plant, it is not widely growing plant, but it is cultivated plant, mainly present in Brazilian, but indigenous in Egypt. Some colleagues study the extract from this plant from methylene chloride, who find it exhibit highly anti-cancer activity. So we started to prepare its oil to find this compound present in the extract is present in essential oil or not. So we prepare also the essential oil with different methods and evaluate its cytotoxicity and establish the mechanism of cytotoxic, and also evaluate its anti-inflammatory activity or in vitro anti-inflammatory activity against certain enzymes or pro-inflammatory mediator. We find by the analysis of the essential oil, it is rich as extract by three components, which is beta-caryophyllene and alpha-hemolin. Beta-caryophyllene and alpha-hemolin are two isomers for each other, and the beta-caryophyllene oxides, the three components are reported in the extract, are reported in the literature, which possess highly anti-cancer activity. The component identified represented by sesquiterpene also in the flower of the plant. We determine the in vitro application or in vitro determination of the anti-inflammatory activity of the essential oil using a bioinflammatory marker, which is meaning a 5-FLOX enzyme and COX-1 and COX-2. We find that the extract or essential oil produced from leaf introduce inhibition of the 5-FLOX, while that of flower inhibit the COX-1. But the main effect or the main uses for this oil for treatment of anti-cancer, we evaluate the anti-cancer activity using MTT methods on 3 cell lines, which is breast cancer, hepatoprotective cell lines, and the colon cell line. We find that they are exert IC50 less than 100 or less than 50, which may be exert cytotoxic activity. But the leaf essential oil exert very, very small IC50 against the breast cancer cell line. In order to establish the mechanism, we determine the cell cycle for the breast cancer cell line using essential oil produced from the leaf. We determine the stage of the cell in late and early, late, and narcotic stage for the cell line. Also, we measure the expression of the protein resulted from the breast cancer using Western blot mechanism. Finally, this is part of my teams in the research. They are multidisciplinary in different pharmacognosy, pharmaceutics to prepare nanoemulsion and nanofilm, pharmacology to evaluate the anti-wounding healing and so on, another hepatoprotective and so on. Finally, thank you from, this is King of Egypt, which rules Egypt in 8 age and died in 17 years. And these days we celebrate by 900 for discovering the Tutankhamun from Egypt. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatima, for a very interesting talk. I've learned a lot, nano-emulsion. So there's some terminology that they are new to me when coming to plants, essential oil, and so on. So it's time for questions. I think I can give it 5 minutes, 10 minutes. We are left behind with time. Dr. Ashwell, I don't know where you'll move around with the mic. I'll start first with me, and then they'll follow. You presented your presentation about the protected area. Do you need to get permission if collecting plants, and then are you? Yeah, is a okay.
We take, usually we take certificate for collection of the plant from the protected area. Also, we have certificate from ethical committee to use the animals. Yani in each step, we use either from protected area or animal, we use the certificate from ethical committee for collection of the plant and dealing with animals.
Thank you. Dr. Ashwell, any other questions or comment? Prof. Ilov, Dr. Ashwell, Mike?
In your analysis where you use live cells, they would be an aqueous solution. Do you have to add something to keep your essential oils in solution? And can that have an effect on your results?
Preparation to mix with essential oil and insert it as aqueous solution by adding of addition of surfactant between it. Yes, twin 80 no effect. Usually, no. Usually we use twin 80 for assist solubilization, either extract or oil and so on, and it is very, very safe. And usually used as control, introduced as control, no effect for.
Is there any other question? From my side, you presented about the real oil. You mentioned something about real oil and biological activity. What is real oil and then what's the difference with essential oil?
Real oil, essential oil. Which real oil?
Maybe I didn't get it clear. When you were doing extract, you mentioned the essential oil in the process when you extract for the plants, the essential oil from the plant.
Usually, in order to prepare nano-emulsion, we added the oily phase and added twin. Twin is the surfactant to allow the separation, overcome the separation of the component of the nano-emulsion during the experiment. But the surfactant added to allow the reach the nano particle size for the preparation. Did you mean that?
Thank you. The last question or comment? I go 3, 2, 1. No questions. Prof. Fatima, thank you so much for your very interesting talk. We are looking forward to with the collaboration and also with the other research that we really need to contribute in the world of science. We really appreciate for accepting the invitation to come and share with us on the work that you are doing at the Harman University in Cairo. Thank you so much. I'll request Ms. Mo to bring along our token of appreciation that you'll remember us when you go back to Egypt. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was concerned about time. I see that we are doing very well. Before tea break, I just want to remind the presenters to upload their presentation before they can, take a tea break. Please go to, we have 3 parallel sessions. We just need to confirm because last time they said the session for the medicinal plants, there were many presenters, whether the venue. But initially we agreed that it will be the Bochum, but I just need to confirm that it's still the venue. And then we have the Day Lily, and then we also have the Rose Room, and we also have this main venue. Normally, if we have many delegates, not delegates, the presenters, they prefer us to use this one. But I just want to emphasize the issue of time. There are many presenters. If you can check the program for today, then it is a very long program. So please, let's stick to time. And also lastly, for the chairperson, if there's somebody is not available, don't just jump. We need to go along the program because some they may be arriving here to present and leave. So please, let's just go according to the presentation. It's a long program. We have received around 200 abstracts. So some they've canceled, but please, let's stick to the time. And the presenters, please upload your presentation before tea break. Thank you so much, the LOC. Thank you so much for the delegates for coming to join us. And also, we are looking forward for your presentation. We are going to continue with the parallel sessions. And please, just give me a minute. There's only few announcements. Bacchus is confirmed. Just check the program. Bacchus is confirmed. So we'll use that Bacchus also. And then the lunch will be at the pool. The lunch is by the pool. Just ask where is it. I have no idea. But just ask where is it. It's the message that is written here. So thank you so much. It's time for tea. Please, presenters, upload your presentation. We have medicinal plants, and then we have plant physiology and plant systematic and so on. Always check the venue where you'll be presenting. Thank you so much for attending this session. It was a very interesting session. And then I'm so happy we are still on time. We're still on track. Thank you so much. We'll continue with the parallel sessions after tea break. Thank you.